The topic that I'm going to discuss today is a bit problematic because it has a potential to be misinterpreted because of the language, the words that are used. And it goes against the conventional ideas of spiritual wellness and healing and many other modalities that believe that this sense of individuality, which is an image, needs to be fixed. So once it is fixed, it is free from all trouble, from all envy, jealousy, hatred, malice, and anxiety. But you see, freedom, what does it mean? Freedom cannot merely be a reaction. Jiddu Krishnamurti says that if freedom is a reaction, for example, let's say I have anxiety and I want to be free from anxiety. So I immediately react. Let me do this practice. Let me do that practice and I will be free of anxiety. But no matter how much I practice, what I find is only momentary relief. The anxiety comes back, the jealousy comes back, the envy comes back. And we are now trying to investigate, why does this happen? So, a radical proposition is that we are not truly loving the envy, jealousy, and anxiety that happens. We are either rejecting it or striving to accept it. And both of these movements have got nothing to do with freedom because they are both reactions. To be free is not to react. Freedom is a sense. To make things more clear, let me read a small passage from the book Freedom from the Known by J. Krishnamurti. And he says, to live with something like jealousy, envy, or anxiety, you must never get used to it, never accept it. You must care for it as you would care for a newly planted tree. Protect it against the sun, against the storm. You must care for it, not condemn it or justify it. Therefore, you begin to love it. Now, this is the line which causes misunderstanding. When you care for it, you are beginning to love it. It is not that you love being envious or anxious, as so many people do, but rather that you care for watching. You see, to solve a problem, you must fully understand the nature of the problem. For example, when there is an infection in the body, we all go to a physician, an expert. So the physician analyzes the body and identifies the nature of infection. In other words, the physician has to totally know what the infection is accurately. Only then can they prescribe a medication or a course of action to get rid of the infection. But have we ever given our content that appears in consciousness total attention? If you ask yourself sincerely, I'm sure you will know the answer. You say that you're troubled by anxiety, but you haven't made the slightest attempt to actually sit with it and know its nature. To sit with something like anxiety, which is like a current, is difficult. It requires courage. But you see, without knowing what it is, how are you going to be free? If you think that you can suppress it by diverting mind somewhere else, that can work. But you very well know that it returns, and usually with a greater force. So have you ever made an attempt to understand what anxiety is? In other words, have you cared for it? Have you nurtured it? You see, on this path, one comes to this understanding that whatever content consciousness is producing, whether it is shame, guilt, anxiety, which are all tied up, they are made up of the same substance. There is neither condemning it nor accepting it. If I just accept it that this is just a part of my life, then I have never fully investigated its nature. If I deny it, which is what most people do, they deny. Because the discomfort is so great that they'd rather not investigate at all. It is much easier in the moment to seek temporary pleasure, temporary relief, I would say. So, engaging in distracting the mind through substances, sexual activity, reading, writing, or doing anything else, we have not shown love to this arising. We have not cared for it, and yet we want to be free of it, which is not going to happen. When one truly wants to live with the sense of freedom, not freedom from something, but with the sense, one does not live in reactivity. A reaction to anxiety, which can be anger, or a projection is again a diversion, a distraction. But to be totally present to the content as it arises, which can be quite challenging. One can see how love arises. And in that love, that arising is no more a problem. No matter what the intensity is, there is love in that intensity. And how that comes about is when you don't let thought intervene in the process of watching. In that observation, there is no intermediary. There is no altering the anxiety. There is no accepting, there is no denying, there is no analysis, which means there is no time, psychological time. I am right now watching as anxiety, the wave of anxiety arises, but I am attending to it totally with care and love and compassion, knowing it is not a separate movement from me. I am that anxiety, I am that envy, and I am that jealousy. So, when I understand this whole movement, I never divert attention. I do not modify the content. I simply attend to it. And in that attending, I experience a sense of freedom. No matter what shape the content acquires, there is total freedom in every possible movement. As a result, what happens is that this image, which I call as myself or me, becomes totally acceptable. It is possible then to live with oneself as one is, in total acceptance. Total acceptance means in agreement with the dark parts, with the shadow. Only when I love, when I totally care, do I feel this sense of freedom. Because that watching with complete attention is not a reaction. I'm not trying to fix anything. I'm not seeing myself as flawed for experiencing it, but I'm seeing it simply as an arising. And when I know it completely, when I'm fully aware of it, and its every possible movement, and what it leads to, there is no fear, there is no reactivity. There is total acceptance or total vision or total seeing. But when I'm fighting, resisting in some way or the other, as I said earlier, by either condemning it or trying to accept it, I'm not showering it with love, with care, with the nurturing that is needed. And without that nurturing, there is no freedom from anxiety.